Well, this is the Coaching Life Podcast, final episode of 2019. Can you believe that, Pat? We've made it all the way to a new year.
Yeah, the end of season 1.
That's right. We determined going into this that we were going to do a season. We would have a definitive amount of episodes or definitive time, and we said by the end of the year, we're going to commit to this by the end of the year, and that'll be season 1. If we feel like it's been useful, we want to continue, we'll do a season 2. What do you think?
Do we have to think about what our record was? How many episodes have we done?
Well, if you count, see, we threw a few bonus episodes in there, and so it skewed the numbers a little bit.
We're about 35, aren't we?
Yeah, the total number of episodes in terms of what number is going to pop up on your phone. This will be episode 34, but we did a bonus episode around Thanksgiving, because that's 35. We did a bonus episode called Where Excellence Begins. Whenever we would do 2 in a week, sometimes we would we'd consider that a bonus. So that's 36. We did one on strength training. That's 37. We did one called Mistake Avoidance. That's 38.
I remember that one.
And so this is technically 38 episodes that we have published since beginning this thing in the summertime.
I think we're undefeated.
We've never.
I won't predict next year's record, though.
Are you back talking about the Browns here?
No. Now I am. I won't predict our record for next season because we all know by now how great I am at those predictions. But
Well, if we go into this as a season 2, and we get into the fall of next year, who we're going to be talking about.
I do know.
The Bengals quarterback.
No, I didn't know that's where you're going with.
Mr. Burrow.
Yeah. Yep. That's a done deal.
It's kind of looking that way.
I heard he was negative 50,000 odds to win the Heisman. Something like that.
They stopped. Bookies have stopped.
They're not taking the bets.
A few weeks ago, they took bets off the board.
Yeah.
I mean, by this time, we probably know he's won it. I mean, it's December 30th now, but we're recording this before December 30th. But
oh, right. Sure.
Yeah. So, but what we're talking about is back in November, there was toward the end of November, they took the Heisman voting off the board because there was they determined there was such a high probability that he was going to be the winner.
Yeah.
That it was no longer a gamble.
I got you. I didn't know that. My boss was actually telling me about that, and I didn't know it was that long ago, but I agree. I could see that because it's
there was still a couple of weeks left in the process before they determining it.
Can you imagine? This probably
it being that
resonates
sure
with
of a
you
thing.
more than it does with me.
I mean, we're talking about it now. We're listening to it after the fact, and so hopefully he is the Heisman winner because we're talking.
That's one prediction I feel really good about.
That's why I'm saying Vegas feels so good about it. They took it off the board.
Yeah, it's a done deal. There's
Somebody was trying to buy out. I saw someone who made a bet in the summertime in June 9th when the odds that Burrow would be the Heisman winner was 200 to 1. The guy dropped $50 and bet on Burrow. And there was a booking agent trying to buy him out of that because he's going to win $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good bet.
They offered him $4,000 to buy him
somebody.
out. Yeah.
He probably puts bets on a bunch of people.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I'd have thought of it.
I wonder if Joe will go to. I can't remember where the draft's going to be this year, but I wonder if he'll go. If it's New York, I wonder if he'll go to New York. If he'll, because some guys stay at home now, or
and just watch it.
Joe Thomas of the Browns, in 2007 when they picked him, he was fishing with his dad on Lake Erie, and they called him up and said, "Hey, we picked you." I thought that was pretty cool. But
someone who's likely to go number 1.
Can you imagine? Vision that in your head, Joe Burrow standing on that stage with Roger Goodell holding a Cincinnati Bengals jersey.
People have already photoshopped it. Have you seen that?
I haven't. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
It'll
be really interesting.
I don't want to. I don't want to play against Joe Burrow for the next 15 years
as a Browns fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. That's for sure.
Makes my stomach hurt just thinking about it.
It's amazing how I mean it's one of those years where everything seems so certain, like it's almost certain that the Bengals are going to get it. Well, it was almost certain that Joe was going to win the Heisman. It was almost certain that the Bengals are going to be the number one pick. It's almost certain that Joe's going to go number one pick into the Bengals. I mean, it's going to be surprising if some of that doesn't happen.
There is still time for the Bengals to screw this up because they do play the Browns.
They played the Browns pretty well this most recent time.
I don't really know if that's a true statement, Coach, but it hurts too much to get into it, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But they definitely can beat the Browns, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens.
I think in the NFL, it's hard to pick NFL games most times.
Yeah.
Anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Unless you're the Cowboys, then you can't beat anybody outside of the NFC East.
Wah, wah. I don't know. Cowboys fans, tell me how bad their life is. Jeez.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
What are we doing?
Because there's this delusion that you're good and you're not.
Yeah.
You tell me that's better than being a Browns fan where you're not good.
Try it.
Dallas
Try
fans
it,
think they're good, but they're not really good.
Browns fans thought they were good at the beginning, and I use the word they loosely because I can hear Coach Roark laughing right now at me.
At the 15-1 prediction,
I said the tide has turned.
Tide has turned,
and she snickered.
Yeah,
she knew. Hurts my heart. But Coach, what are we going to talk about today on our?
What I think it'd be appropriate to talk about the new year and what is it going to look like for you and me? Have you ever made a New Year's resolution?
I haven't made it in New Year. I'm sure when someone if I've done maybe I was at a conference or something and someone said, "Hey, here, think up a New Year's resolution or something like that." But I've never taken them serious. I've never really believed in them all that much. Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because I'm not very motivated to get better. But it's just
nervous about you're not going to make a commitment unless you.
Yeah, and they've always seemed kind of generic to me. I've seen a lot of them just. Actually, I would say most New Year's resolutions kind of fall flat on their face.
Like join the gym. Going to run every day. We'll lift weights 3 days a week.
Right.
I'm going to diet. I'm not going to eat this. I'm going to eat that. Or I'm going to read this many books, or I'm going to read the Bible every day, or something like that. It's lofty and it's a great goal, but it's really hard to keep. It's hard to maintain.
Actually, coming into this year, I did say it wasn't a New Year's resolutions, but I said I was going to try to read more books than I had, the previous year. I did, but not as much as I was thinking I was going to.
Yeah.
So
I can remember one resolution that I made, an actual New Year's resolution that I made, and I do something different. I do make a commitment, a renewed commitment every year, and we'll get into that. But back in like 1996 or so, I remember this one resolution because it has stuck true with me to this day, and that was I was getting fat and out of shape, basically, and
I know that feeling.
I said, I know that there are a lot of things that I could change, but instead of trying to do it all at once, I'm going to do one thing and see if I can stick to it. And I'm going to make one decision, and then if I do other things, that's great. But this one thing is for certain. I'm not going to do this, and that was drink any soda, any pop. I completely eliminated soda pop. Whatever you say, soda or pop. We call it pop here in Southeast Ohio, so I'm going to call it pop. But out there, at the time, I was living in St. Louis, and they called it soda. They had no idea what pop was. When I said pop, they're like, "Are you talking about your dad?" What? I said, "No, it's soda." And they're like, "Soda?" I'm like, "Yeah, soda." And so I said, "So I'm going to eliminate that." Well, I did, and I did. I never had a drop for a year. Lost like 25 pounds. I still ate like crap.
It's huge.
I substituted tea. And I became a real tea lover.
You don't
not sweet,
not sweet
unsweet.
tea. Oh, I can't see. I can't do. I love sweet tea.
Well, it's good. It's a treat. I take sweet tea as a treat, like on vacation.
Well, it's
hard to find on sweet tea.
That's
what
pop is.
But
so what it was. That's what it's supposed to be.
Well, yeah.
We made it a beverage.
You eat it with something.
It's a nice.
You drink it with a meal.
Yeah.
It's like having an ice cream cone with every,
Yeah, it's
while
like
you're
he's sitting
eating.
down eating a steak and having an ice cream.
It's
cone
really
there beside
ridiculous.
you.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly.
Yeah. And because, well, and with, of course, you can get in all that, but, with high fructose corn syrup and things like that, it has a property in it that actually shuts down your ability, your body's ability to recognize when you're full. It's an appetite suppressant, high fructose corn syrup is. And so if you'll notice, 50 years ago, the portions, especially at fast food restaurants, a large at McDonald's is
Right.
today's small.
Yeah.
Or today, I think today's medium.
Maybe.
But
Huh?
you would
No, I'd
never
say you're
see
right,
a
it's
cup. You would never see a cup as large as what. I mean, there are people walking around drinking out of 2 liters of soda these days. And I was like, that's
Yeah,
for an entire family for 2 weeks, isn't it? And they're like, oh, no, I'm drinking this afternoon. And it's just,
most of the time it's diet though.
oh, that's better, isn't it?
When we go to lunch and I get a diet, I feel like you're staring at my diet. Like,
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't. I really don't care. Don't judge at all. But that's something I've kept to this day. It was one of the best in terms of resolutions. It's the only New Year's resolution I can remember in my life that I made and kept until recently, the last 2 years, when I did something completely different. But
I was
ahead.
going to ask you when the last time you had a drink of pop was.
Well, okay. Here's what I should say. I will allow myself, that year I didn't, but I will allow myself to, if it's the only thing available and I know it's just going to be like this one glass, I'll have a glass of pop.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, a lot of times it's like when we're having pizza here at the office or something like that, and pizza tastes good with pop, doesn't it?
It does.
But if I look back over this past year, 2019, I could probably count the number of times I've had a glass of pop on one hand.
That's good.
It's been truly a treat. I've had more ice cream than I've had pop.
It's huge. If you drink pop and you want to lose weight easy, stop drinking pop.
Yeah.
It makes you healthier too. I think
more
as we get
energized.
into this episode, I'll talk a little bit about more about that from my perspective and how things have changed for me. But removing that from your diet, and I feel the same about diet too. I've kind of got hooked on diet. I need to take the same approach with diet as I did with non-diet pop, because it's bad for you in other ways. I mean,
The sugar substitutes and things like that.
It's a chemical.
I don't like the way it tastes.
I don't mind it.
Diet-
I've never
I don't
have
have any-
minded it.
Really, I
But-
don't have any problem with eliminating diet because I can't stand it.
Yeah.
It's something about, it's like an aftertaste or something.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Diet.
I probably would. I could
Diet
learn to like
Mountain
it, I'm
Dew.
sure, because Diet Mountain
I'm
Dew.
from eggs, so I love that Mountain Dew. But so, what were you changed the last 2 years?
I did something different, and I credit my wife for introducing it to me. We're big John Gordon fans, who's an author who writes books like The Energy Bus, Positive Dog Training Camp, and all those. Just love John Gordon. And he put out a book that was actually a collaborative book that he did with another author, and this is not original by him by any means. I don't know where it originated. A lot of people do this. If you search this on the internet, you'll find a lot of different versions of it. But what it is, it's a commitment. It's a renewed commitment for you as a person who want to better yourself in the coming year, that will help you actually focus on a way of living that is going to be, that you'll be able to you hold to consistently. Creating new habits throughout the new year by focusing on something that's a little simpler than a New Year's resolution. I mean, one example that I would give about a New Year's resolution that sometimes I think sometimes they're too specific. Like, this is one of the reasons why I'm not a huge, I like goals, but I'm not a goal-setting person. I think unless you set good goals that are life-changing, I mean, that are going to be consistent for the rest of your life. I think sometimes when we set goals, they're too specific. Well, that sounds weird to say that. Goals should be specific, but they're too time-sensitive. I'll just give an example. A lot of people set the goal to lose a lot of weight in the coming year. And a lot of times that goal has an end date to it, which is vacation. So if I'm taking vacation on July 7th, that week, then I know between January and July, I got to cut out some foods. I got to add some different foods that I don't eat very much. I've got to exercise every day or 3 days a week, and I'm going to make that a consistent thing. And a lot of people do that well. They want to look a certain way by the time they get to that vacation. But what happens is that date arrives, July 7th arrives, and what happened? I look at myself, hey, I met my goal. Congratulations, me. We're going on vacation. I feel pretty good. What do? I deserve a treat, right? And so while I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. I'm gonna eat whatever I want, right? So dessert, heck yeah, I'll eat dessert. Pop, heck yeah, I'll have pop, right? I mean, I look what I did. I accomplished my goal. Then we get home after vacation.
It's hard to turn
the
that
next
off.
week. It's hard to turn that off because why? Well, we don't need it anymore. I don't need that goal anymore.
Yep.
It was a specific goal for a specific purpose, and once I'm done with that, once I've accomplished that, there's nothing else. And so what happens? We get fat again by September.
Yep.
Because we don't continue it.
Very familiar.
And so what I would like to see, what I have learned, this happens to me as well. What I'd like to see myself do, and we'd offer this out to all of our listeners, is create habits that are going to be with you, a system of living every single day, and change who you are.
I think the key word there,
Change who you are.
yeah, the habit
Yeah.
is you don't make goals, you make habits.
Make habits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they're directly linked.
They are.
Because everybody has a goal, right?
Sure.
How do I get to that goal? Well, I got to change my habits.
Yep.
And if I actually create good, positive habits, I'm going to reach that goal. But then just keep adding new goals.
Yeah.
Adding another,
You're going to maintain and exceed. That's
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's what I was waiting for you to say. I've transitioned from that goal from the goals to the habits. So
Yeah. So the process or the system, I guess you can say, that was introduced to me a few years ago was a new way of looking at New Year's resolutions. And instead of creating a goal like that, think of one word that you want to live by for 2020. The year 2020, what would be one word that you could say would make a difference? I mean, a real positive, powerful difference in your life. And we're not just talking about one area of your life. We're talking about your whole life.
Yep.
Every aspect, because everything influences the other. So, bring it back to what we talk about all the time, coaches and players and parents. If you want to be better at all of those things, whichever one of those you are, then what word can you live by every day? And this word then influences and changes everything that you do in the coming year. It challenges you every day because, one, you keep it in front of you. You write it down. You put it on your computer screen. I like doing graphic design. I made little art pieces and framed them. I put one in my bathroom. I put one in my office. I put one in my car. Everywhere where I can, little cards and things like that reminded me of my one word for, say, 2018. And then I did another one for this past year, 2019. And I will say the first time I did that, it really, really made a difference. And you have to take some time and ponder what that word's going to be. I mean, for me, there's a process. I don't necessarily know what it's going to be now, but I'm already thinking about it and pondering it. What do I want to accomplish in this next year? And what word would keep that fresh in my mind and my heart every single day? And then another thing that I do to help find what my word's going to be is I pray about it. It's an important thing to me to have that word given to me, not just something that I decide to do. I'm asking God to give me the word that He wants for me to make my life better in this coming year. So I'll tell you what my word was in 2018, and I don't necessarily remember how I landed on it, but it was consistency. So as I pondered and as I prayed and as I wrote, as I took notes, and as I just sat down and thought through the things I wanted to accomplish in the coming year, the word that came to my mind one day as I was sitting there kind of journaling and writing down some goals, one of the things I kept seeing a common thread of what I would need in order to be able to accomplish these things. And what I would need was this thing called consistency. And so I just wrote consistency at the top of that page. and I just started looking up the definition of consistency and quotes about consistency and Bible scriptures about consistency, and I just wrote everything down. And by the time we got to January 1st of 2018, I thought, this is it. This is my word is consistency. So what does that mean, and how does it live itself out every day? Well, if one of my goals was, in that year, one of the goals that I had was to get up earlier in the morning in order to begin doing things that I wanted to do every single day.
Yeah, definitely.
And those were things like read, journal, and work out. And so if I wanted to get those three things done in a significant way every day of the week, Monday through Friday, then that meant, and still get to work on time, that meant I needed to get up at about 4:45 in the morning. And so that meant I had to rearrange my evenings as well a little bit, as much as possible, in order to get enough sleep so that I would be able to get up at 4:45 in the morning. So that was one of the things I kept in front of me was, okay, consistent. If I'm really going to do this, if I'm going to change the way I live, I got to be consistent in this, which means every day, no compromise. And, so part of that, so it's funny because those habits, James Clear wrote a book called, I read it a couple years ago, or read it when it first came out, so about a year ago.
Was it Atomic?
Atomic Habits, yeah.
Atomic Habits.
Yeah, and one of the things he talks about is habit stacking. And what he means by that is that there are things there are habits that you want to create, but they're going to be created more easily if you stack this habit on, and then once you do this, it's going to be easier to do this. For example, if I knew I wanted to get up at 4:45 in the morning, there was another bad habit that I had that I needed to make sure that I eliminated, and that was the snooze button.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought, okay, instead of hitting the snooze button 3 or 4 times, when I set my alarm, I'm going to, set it for the time that I want to get up instead of setting it for 45 minutes or whatever before I want to get up. And when it goes off, I'm out of bed.
Yeah.
I have to get up. That was a hard change, but that was, hearing the alarm, not wanting to get up, but getting up and just doing it. Just do it. And I could have made up all kinds of reasons why, or excuses to justify why I didn't have to get up this morning or shouldn't get up this morning, or I could. It's just a matter of either doing it or don't doing it. Either going to do it or I'm going to give it up. And that word consistency. If I committed and vowed that I was going to live with consistency as the center of my entire year, then I could not give that up. I had to do it.
Right.
And so it was after a couple months. Just it was way of life. It's just who I was. Just part of me, And there were times, it was funny. We went on vacation in the summertime, and I didn't have to get up at 4. I actually put my phone down. I turned it off for a week and said I'm going to go on a digital detox that summer.
Yeah,
and
talked about that before.
And I put the phone down, so I didn't have the alarm. I still freaking woke up at 4:45 in the morning. Though.
I bet you I wouldn't do that, but
You don't think you would?
no.
Yeah,
I love to sleep.
My body had, I guess, gotten into a pattern. But you know what? I actually loved it on vacation because I didn't necessarily get up. I woke up and I'm laying there. I'm looking at the ceiling. I'm like, well, I may as well get up now. But I saw the sun rise every morning on that vacation. I was the first one up, obviously. But,
isn't it odd? Like I talk to my dad. My dad's at the retirement age, and he's trying to make a decision whether he should retire or not. And he always tells me how easy it is for him to go to work now. It's because
he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to. Huh. Yeah. So maybe that's what helped you there on vacation.
On vacation,
you didn't have to get up.
Knew I didn't have to.
And that's not me though.
And I'm not saying that everyone should be a morning person or that should be your goal or whatever. But that was a change that I knew that if I could do this, that's a small change, really, to be honest. If I could do that, then I knew I could handle some of the bigger ones. It would help me get the bigger ones too. So
yeah, I hear you. You waste a lot of time in the morning. You give up a lot of time in the morning. For me, it's in the night before where I waste the most time, and that's what it directly impacts my morning because I have a hard time going to sleep. I like to, hang out on my phone and watch some TV and things like that, and those are the types of things that kind of it's the way I finish my night that prevents me from starting the next day the way that I would really want to. So. I can relate with you a little bit.
Well,
there.
And that's another one of those habit stacking things. Like that year that I did that, I changed the way that nightly routine went because I had to look because I write things down, so I can still go back and look at the journal. I should have brought it in here. It'd have been a lot easier to talk about. But I remember thinking, okay, in order to get up at 4:45, I've got to determine to put my phone down. Like I can't just scroll through Twitter as I'm laying in bed because it keeps me up.
Yeah.
And so once I put it down, I have to say it's got to stay down, and that has to be part of my consistency. My wife and I sometimes we got a TV in our bedroom, and so sometimes we'd turn on like some late night Seinfeld or something, and watch Impractical Jokers or something, and just have it on and watching it. But TV's a stimulant. The blue light, it's all a stimulant, and so at the moment you're trying to go to sleep, you need a depressant,
Right.
not a stimulant. A depressant is reading. That actually exercises your brain, and so it makes you tired. That's why so many people have a hard time reading because they're like, I just fall asleep all the time.
What about reading on your phone or your iPad?
Well, see that's there's a lot of study about that. Does the blue light affect you or not? Some people are no, some people are yes, but I do know this. It's a lot like the TV though. It just seems like it's hard to put it down, and I don't know why. And so those are the things. So I said, okay, when 9:30 hits, I'm like, I have never in my life gone to bed at 9:30. But when 9:30 hits, I'm going to set this thing on my watch that goes off. It reminds me, okay, it's time for bed, and it's time to start winding it down. And I remember saying, I'm not turning that TV on. I'm going to put music on. I'll go to sleep to music, and I did that. Now I'm not doing it right now. It's been a little bit different for me this year. I've rearranged. Don't have kids. I'm not coaching. My life has changed, so I've rearranged my patterns. I'm still working out, still doing those things, but I just rearranged the patterns a little bit. And sometimes you got to do that as well to keep things rolling. So
You got to adjust, right?
yeah. So, are you on the 1 word challenge with me? You want to do it?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I'm on.
I'll tell you what my word was for this year.
For 2019.
For 19, yeah. I really liked consistency. Like as I was thinking,
I hope you don't take.
As I was thinking about, it, I was like, man, you know what? I'd like to have this one again for this year. And so, and here's the other thing. Like when I went out and went on Twitter and like on New Year's Day, if you tweet 1 word, you'll see thousands of people saying this was my 1 word for 2, and I put mine out there too.
Really?
It's an accountability thing, sort of. And there were a lot of people that had the same word as I did.
I'm sure, and I've thought about it, and I have my word too for the upcoming year. Yeah,
you got it.
Oh yeah, it's
outstanding.
There's no doubt about it. But I want everyone to know I wrote it down before you tell me what your 19 word was. So because
my 19 word,
my word has a lot of relationship.
It won't be the same as what my 19 word is.
Well, but my word has a lot to do with consistency. I think they're distant relatives. So.
Well, consistency was my 18 word.
Right.
Year 18, 2018.
Yep.
In 2019, I landed on the word build. And
like it.
Yeah, it was weird because I did not see very many people who had the word build.
Yeah.
But I think it just kept coming back to me for one because I really liked consistency, and so what I didn't want to stop being consistent, and that's the thing is you stack these, you just keep living, right? And so I'm like, okay, I want to build on that consistency. It might not look exactly the same in every particular way, but I want to keep building on that consistency. But I want to build even greater success in these areas, and I want to build new things, like build new relationships. I mean, how were you and I friends in 2018? I would say we were acquaintances.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. And we didn't have.
I liked you as a friend. You must not like me. I guess that came out real easy, didn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for me. Yeah, you really turned that one around. I mean, if you look back, the number of conversations that we had, they're very few and far between.
Well, if you compare them to how we do what we do.
Well,
now.
yeah, exactly. Our friends talk with each other, right? So they get together for lunch every week. Weren't doing that in 2018. I barely even saw you. I'd go a whole year without seeing you before last year.
Yep.
But that's building new relationships, building new. There have been so many relationships that have come in over this past year. There were some things that we wanted to do with our church to build more presence at Ohio University. It's been just absolutely phenomenal to see the number of athletes and students that have been coming to our church here in the last 4 or 5 months, and the relationships that we've built, like with Nathan Rourke, who came in on the podcast, and then a number of other football players that are still going to be here. Nathan, of course, is leaving in the new year to go pursue professional career. But yeah, it's been really cool. It's been really cool to see that. It's been different. It's a different kind of word, but I still it's been every single day of this year. It's been in front of me. I just keep reminding myself how is this building upon how is this making my life better?
Right.
What is this building in me? This decision that I'm making, what is this building in me?
Yep.
Because build is a positive thing, right? It's not deconstruction. It's building, and that was kind of where I wanted to.
You can build a lot of things.
So yeah,
Go a lot of different directions with that.
yeah.
It's a pretty cool word.
It's not this one word is not a magic pill, though. I mean, it's not going to solve all your problems. You still have to make the choices.
Yeah.
And that's the key. So,
Yeah, definitely. At the beginning of the year, you mentioned having a goal and wanting to lose weight or whatever, and you get to that goal, and then you go back to your old habits because you've met that goal.
Yeah.
I know I've mentioned before at the beginning of the year my cholesterol was real high. So I became real serious about working out and not eating sweets. Sweets was a big thing for me, definitely pop, but not just pop. I actually recognized in my mind last Thanksgiving and Christmas that I was eating a lot more cookies and pie and cake. I had the thought, man, I've never eaten this much, sweet stuff. I've never done that, and but I recognize
it's addicting.
It's
very addicting.
It is, but no, a lot of people don't know sugar is bad for your cholesterol. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not just the greasy stuff.
No,
yeah,
and for me, it was the sugar. I cut back on the sugar, but now what happened was working out. I kind of did the same thing. I'd work out in the morning. Baseball season started for the kids, and then basketball season we got busy. Working out became more difficult, and you just slowly start to separate from those things. And I would be afraid to know what my cholesterol is now. After I was working out and eating well for 6 months, my cholesterol was great. I mean, it complete turnaround. I don't know where it is now. I haven't drank pop, sugary pop. I've drank diet pop, and I haven't I'm not eating nearly as much sweets as I used to, but I've started to, here and there, just done some different things. But there's a lot of things that I think about and that I've been thinking about for a long time. My schedule's busy. Everyone's got that, right?
Yeah.
You don't have time to do anything.
Yeah.
But I know that I waste a lot of time. Just, there's things that I want to do. I have 2 kids. Both of them are, they play sports a lot. We don't have a lot of downtime when it comes to their sports activities. So that takes up a lot of time. I want to be able to coach them and, provide.
I would say a majority of people that listen to us, that would be their story too, probably. So you're speaking right to people. Yeah.
Right. But the thing, and you want to give them the best opportunity. You want to give them the best information and, the best knowledge, and you want to be prepared to do that. So, you want to focus on the sport. You want to learn about the sport. But there's things that, as a person, I want to do in addition to those things, because I know that
you got to take care of yourself too.
Well, not only that, but we've talked about it nonstop, that to be the best baseball coach that you can be, you got to be the best person that you can be. Right. And there's things out there that, I think with your help, I would say I credit you with this. I like writing things. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to start reaching out to people that have had an impact in my life and let them know, that I appreciate them. That's one thing that I want to do.
Intentional gratitude.
Right. Yeah. Because it makes me feel good to do that.
It does as much for you as it will the person that receives it.
Yeah. Like I have a desire to do that. It's almost a selfish desire, if that even sounds right. I want to do it.
Yeah, it's a double. I mean, it goes both ways, and it's beneficial both ways.
Yeah.
So.
With when we started doing the podcast, I started listening to a bunch of podcasts, and there's so many podcasts out there, and there's such great content. And I want to do that more. I want to learn more about other things. I want to read. I want to be able to study the Bible more than what I have in the past couple years. We talked about a little bit home improvements. There's things at home that I want to do, and there's just all this stuff. And those are goals, right? And when you look at them from a holistic perspective, you can't accomplish them because you don't have enough time to accomplish them, right? Your schedule's too busy.
So the way to fix that is,
well, I'm sure different people have different ideas on the way to fix that. But I was listening to,
but I'm not thinking of something specific like cut this or that out. I'm just thinking about exactly what I think
that's my
you're
word,
alluding
right?
to. Of I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But as you rearrange the kind of person you are, it's going to change the priorities. It's going to change where you prioritize your time. And so when you reprioritize your time, you'll find that you have more of it. And so now, where I didn't have enough time to do this before, now I do have a little more time to do this. So then you do start getting specific and you replace that for this.
Yep, definitely. And there's, I would say, one more kind of external piece to all this. One thing that I have a weakness in perspective, I think. It's hard for me to handle certain situations when I feel like there's better ways. Does that make sense? Am I saying that right? That's not just in sports, but in life.
I know. I think I know what you mean.
Maybe things that I think are nonsense.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to live.
Well,
in
that. What's the heart? What's the reason we started this podcast?
Right. Yeah.
We think there's a better way.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think my weakness is I grumble about it a little bit in my heart. You know what I mean? And it kind of makes me
a complaining. Issue.
Maybe not so much external, but internal. It just makes me feel bad about things, and emotionally, I respond to things that I would like to respond to a little differently. I would like to feel a little different about things than what I do now. So, and I'm wrapping all those things together, and these are things that not that this episode of the podcast has made me think about, but I've been thinking about them for a while, and the one word. Challenge kind of just it wrapped it up for me and kind of put me on a good direction. So I have my word.
Good deal.
I think it's obviously going to be challenging for me, but it's the start to making all these things happen in the way that I want it. So
you want to reveal our one words on the first season?
Do you have your
first
word?
Episode of season 2?
Oh, we can do that.
Kind of open up the new year that way.
We can do that, yeah.
So we're thinking about some different ways to change up the podcast a little bit and make it. And we want to continue. If we want it to be useful. I mean, if it's not useful, we may as well stop doing it, right? So,
well, I'll be honest
with you. If it's useful, let us know, folks. I mean,
we definitely want to continue to hear people's thoughts.
Yeah, we don't spend enough time like telling people to do that, right? Like what to do. Like if you really like the podcast, then you can write a review. You can give us a rating and a review in Apple. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or Stitcher or Spotify or wherever you listen, give us a rating and review because it actually does help. It helps. Those apps will be more likely to have ours show up in a search, and it'll push out to other people, and it'll just grow from there. We've not chosen to do advertisement and commercials. Honestly, one of the first things I do with most podcasts I listen to is hit that skip 30-second button 3 or 4 times. Just be really honest. I get through those.
I haven't.
Do you listen to the advertisements? Like Joe Rogan's podcast, it's 5 minutes of advertisements. So I just immediately skip all the way to 6 minutes.
Yeah. I guess I do that with Jocko's.
Yeah. No, Jocko does at the end. Yeah. Jocko's smart. He jumps right into the good stuff. And then they do all their stuff. So I know when he starts wrapping it up, I know, okay, it's time to go to the next one.
We probably shouldn't reveal that.
We shouldn't, but I guarantee you a bunch of other people do it too.
I do like listening to...
And so you and I have been like, screw it. Let's just do this for free. For now.
Yeah.
For now.
I do like listening to him and Echo talk about their
Their products.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Molk.
the kettlebell bells and stuff like that.
So I guess we have listened to some of their advertising.
Yeah, I've listened a little bit, but then I've kind of caught on to that. But yeah, definitely let us know how you feel. And I don't know. I hope we don't come off as people that are know-it-alls.
No, what a time.
Because here's my thing: the doing this has helped me.
Me too.
It's helped me focus on things that I'm not great at, and helped me look inside of myself, and help me have a little bit of discipline in some of these situations that I kind of showed a lack of, in previous years.
Sure, because we'll talk about things on Tuesday, and often you'll have a game that night.
Yeah, and you catch yourself.
You had a game last night, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
So you're living it every single day.
Yeah, and I think I'm getting better. Like I think it's natural that you continue to pick at your behavior.
Yeah.
That's just part of continuing to prove. You're never going to get to a point
Hopefully
where
we
you
do
feel
that.
like you're
If
right.
someone's not doing that, then they've gotten to a level of arrogance and narcissism to where they think that everything is just great.
Yeah, but sometimes I think to my mind, man, I hope, because I think, man, I screwed that up. I failed again, and then I think, hopefully it's not as bad as what it was in the past. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like maybe there was more opportunities than because you really only remember the times that you fail.
That
At
isn't
least
that
I
the
do.
truth? Yeah, those are like they highlight in your your highlight reels in your mind. Everybody's mind is the times that you failed.
Yeah.
And it's actually one of the reasons why Manny Ramirez before games, he only looks at his good stuff. Somebody asked him about that one time. Well, I mean, he's not playing anymore.
Yeah.
But Manny Ramirez, like he would look, he would put highlights filmed together of just him hitting home runs and him just jacking balls in the gap. And someone's like, Manny, don't you want to look at the areas you need to improve? And he's like, why are you always just watching your home runs and stuff? And he said, why would I want to watch me fail? He said, when I go out in this field, I want to know what I'm doing right. I want to know I want to get pumped. I want to see myself hitting home runs, because when I step in that box, I'm seeing myself hit a home run, and I'm going to do it again. And
My favorite Manny Ramirez.
so it wasn't like a cocky thing. It was just like, this is my mental preparation.
Yeah, it makes sure. It makes
It's a hype,
positive
it's
feedback.
a hype video. He was doing hype videos before people start doing hype videos.
Hey, I tell you, I believe in positive feedback. Yeah, very much. My favorite Manny line is, "Yeah, I'm late, but I'm always on time." You hear him say that? I was sports reporter.
He was the new Yogi Berra of our era. Manny Ramirez was.
The new age.
Yeah.
Yogi Berra.
Yeah. I think we should say something, maybe by way of, I don't know, conclusion or so. I mean, or wrapping it up. But we should talk about this principle that you and I've chatted about a little bit, and it's nothing new, but I think it would help tie everything up that we've talked about today. And that's this: the principle of a little a lot is better than a lot a little. Yeah. So I'll say that again, then I'll say it slower. If you want to be successful, you're going to be more successful if you choose to do a little a lot rather than a lot a little.
1% every day. Right?
Yeah, just getting 1% better every day. And there's no greater way to see this than in like the realm of exercise and lifting weights, and things like that. Every year this happens when I train high school students, and I had at the beginning of this semester when we started training our girls softball team in the off season, we found out what they could max lift on the big exercises, and then we backed them off significantly. So I said we're gonna take 60% of your 1 rep max, and that's what you're going to start lifting 5 sets of 5.
Sure.
And it was really easy at first because they were stronger than that, and so watching them do squats. But the good thing about that was they could really get used to the proper form, going
technique,
deeper in the squat and everything. And so they developed that consistency in that. And I remember one night we had one of the fathers was in there, and he was like, man, it just looks too easy. They don't they need to be adding more weight? And I said, yeah, they're going to. And this is a smart guy. I mean, he saw the same thing everybody else sees when they walk in there. It's like, oh, they're not getting better. They're going to, though. And I said, here's the thing, though. Within a month, because they're adding, we add weight every single day. What I mean by that is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We add a little bit of weight on every lift. And I said, it's going to get hard soon enough. but they need this right now. They need this consistency. They need to feel themselves, and they need the little by little, just adding a little. They need to see that number change a little bit every single day. And I take pictures of our marker board every day. And so a couple weeks ago, I went back and showed them the picture of the very first week and the picture, and then they were staring at the board today. And it was amazing. They were like, I can't believe I'm lifting that much. Most of them are all lifting way more than their 1 rep max was. And they're doing it 5 sets of 5 now. And 2 and 3 times they're squatting, 2 times their weight. Some of them are. And it's just, it's really, really cool thing to see. And they never would have gotten there if I had allowed them to, oh yeah, you can lift more than that. Go ahead and put a bunch of weight on right now.
Right.
Because they're going to plateau.
Yep.
You've got to do a little bit at a time. And if you do a little bit consistently every single day, you're going to surpass what you could have ever done if you try to do a lot of little. It's why so many people fail at exercise, because they go out and they just completely exhaust themselves.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
They just completely exhaust them. And you feel like you're not doing anything. Like I've had to change my way, because I'm the same way. If I'm not sweating and sore and like just fully, like I feel like I can't do anything else, then I used to not feel like I was doing a good workout unless that's the way I felt every single time. The problem was if I really did that every single time, I would only do it 3 or 4 times. You can't maintain that. Maybe as an 18, 19, 20, 24-year-old you can. I'm 47 now. And I know I cannot maintain that level of intensity in my workout. And so I still am pushing myself, but when I walk out of the weight room now, and my legs are tired, and I'm a little wobbly and everything. But after a few, after a few hours, I feel like, okay, I'm good to go. I could. We've talked about that before, about how strength training on game days, you don't necessarily always want to deplete yourself of and completely go to fatigue and complete failure all the time, because you want to be able to realize that what, I still got I made myself stronger, but I got enough in the tank that I can go out and play a game today.
Yep.
And that's me now. That's how I train now, and it's how I teach other people to train as well. Is it right or wrong? I don't know. Is there a better way? It might be. I don't know. I'm not professional at this, but I know it's working for the kids that we work with.
Yeah.
Doing a lot is better than doing a lot of little.
Yeah, I think what you kind of alluded to there, that's where the mental strength improvement comes in regards to the weight room, because kids, or athletes, I'll say, see themselves succeeding.
Yes,
and
they do.
They're breaking down barriers.
Yeah, that measurement,
overcoming
really
hills. Yeah, and seeing that, knowing that they can push through, and knowing that they can do things that they really can't believe that they did. Mm-hmm. That translates to games.
Oh heck yeah, it does.
I mean,
yeah, there'll be plenty of times in a game when they're going to have an opportunity to feel like, I can't get this done.
Yeah,
and if you ever have a player that says, I can't do this, you don't want them on the floor.
Yeah.
You don't want them on the field. You'll sub them out.
Yeah.
You'll put someone in there that believes they can get it done.
Yeah.
That's and so that training in there, we always seem to come back to strength training, don't we? It covers. Did you see Butch Chafin's tweet a couple weeks ago? Where we're talking, there's a lot of banter about hitting back and hitting,
Yes.
different philosophies about hitting, and I just love Butch because he says things that we could hang out with this dude. I know we think exactly alike. He said, strength training, the weight room, in most cases, will fix most hitting mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it fixes anything. You know what else it'll fix? Slowness. You want to get faster? Squat.
Yeah.
Get in the weight room. You want to throw harder? Deadlift. Get in the weight room. See how much weight you can pull off the floor. You start rowing and pulling and squatting, you're going to get better. So, yeah, I've become I'm just a believer.
I am too. I'm already at the point where I feel like people's tuning me out because I'm saying it so much. But I can tell you, and I'll say it in a certain way. In very limited exposure, very limited experience, I've seen big differences
In kids that you're working with.
Yeah,
being
in the weight room.
And there will always be that kid who's an exception, that someone holds up as an exception and says, this kid didn't in the weight room, but look how good he is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. What is that? What does that kid have? he has something called a natural athleticism that is in his genes, which actually makes him pretty strong and pretty fast.
Exactly. It makes him naturally stronger and faster.
Exactly. And so what do you do? So that those kids, they're out there. They're the top 10%.
Yep.
What do you do with the rest of them?
Yep.
So the rest of us out here who want to be good athletes, but we don't have that natural, and I'm talking about and I can't even think of someone, like if I almost said your Joe Burrow types, but the truth is that's not Joe.
Yeah.
Joe worked his butt off every day.
Yeah, he did.
To get, I mean, he's that's not him.
He was told.
worked.
He'd been told he was not good enough, right?
Right. But I mean, so if you tell me that hey, this kid doesn't, lift all the time, but look how good he plays on the basketball court or on the baseball field, or I would say football field, but no, that's never going to happen. If you're not in the weight room, you're not going to be good on the football field. Just not. You might in fourth grade, but there's going to be a day when you're just not going to be. You cannot not lift and be a good football player. But I just, what you're seeing is natural athleticism, and we can't, when we talked about strength training, we mentioned this. There's something that strength training provides that you can't create. Like, we have no way of making a person more athletic. We can't do that. I can't increase athleticism in any kid. What they have is what they have. I can make them more skilled. We can practice skills and make them more skilled. So we do that. But if you want it, what they really need is more athleticism. But we can't give it to them. But what we can give them is strength. And the building blocks of athleticism is strength.
Yeah.
And so if we give them strength,
well,
a byproduct,
and speed.
Yeah, strength and speed. A byproduct of building strength and speed is being more athletic.
Mm-hmm. It's untapped athleticism.
It is.
That, it brings it out.
Yeah.
We spun this right into a strength and agility episode.
Yeah. It was kind of a potpourri thing. We talked a little bit about everything today. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's looking back over this first season of the podcast, we talked about a lot of things. One of the things that we'll probably get into as we come into the new year is, we've said it before. Have we talked about you and I doing a team?
We haven't.
We haven't, have we?
I mean, we talked about it. We can program.
Pat and I are starting a program. We got to the point to where we said, you know what? We've been talking about this too much.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's put our actions where our mouths have been. And
maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more in season 2.
Yeah, we'll do that. Because then we'll be able to actually talk about. We'll get into the things that other people are experiencing with their teams. But when you go back, if you want to go back and listen to the player development program episodes, the ones that begin with PDP, this is what Pat and I are actually going to try to start putting into practice. So, yeah,
going to build it, huh?
Going to build it. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see what our new words are here. So next week.
I almost just gave mine away.
If you want to give away, you can.
Oh no, we'll wait.
Okay, cool.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, though. Season 1.
Season 1 has been
Appreciate everyone out there.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Coach, and looking forward to season 2. Unless we get a bunch of people telling us just to shut up.
Yeah, please let us know. let us know. Subscribe, of course. Share this podcast if you think it's been helpful. Share it. We'd love to hear and see how it's grown, and how it's been useful for you. And don't be shy when you see us. Like the two of us, we'll post it on social media. But it's really the only way we know that people have listened is get those comments. And it kind of it encourages us to want to keep going. I know if I don't feel like anybody's listening to it, I like having the conversation, but heck, we could do this over wings instead of in front of a microphone.
True.
And so I'd rather just do it that way if it's not helping anyone. So let us know. And we hope you've had an awesome 2019, and we hope that today's conversation has maybe launched you into a little deeper way of thinking about the coming year, 2020, and what it's going to be for you and your family and your relationships and your commitments. And we hope everyone has a happy and safe new year this week.
I guess it's safe to say we'll see you next year.
It is safe to say that. That's right. We'll talk to you all next year.